Jim McGovern y Joe Neguse, congresistas demócratas, tomaron el control de una audiencia y dejaron sin respuestas a los republicanos por financiar la guerra de Donald Trump y proteger negocios dentro del Congreso. Quédate hasta el final porque el interrogatorio destapó absolutamente todo. Y rápidamente suscríbete para estar siempre informado de lo que está pasando realmente en el país, pero en español. Ahora sí, continuemos. Los miembros republicanos de MAGA en el Congreso se quedaron perplejos cuando los demócratas secuestraron una audiencia del Comité de Reglas. Los republicanos de MAGA estaban tratando de aprobar a toda prisa su proyecto de ley de reconciliación para dar miles de millones de dólares más a la guerra catastrófica e ilegal en Irán. Y miembros demócratas del Congreso, como Jim McGovern y el miembro demócrata del Congreso también, Joe Neguse, comenzaron a interrogar a estos miembros republicanos de MAGA en el Congreso y hacer que justificaran sus horribles acciones en televisión en vivo. Verán, en el Comité de Reglas, los miembros del partido, en este caso los republicanos de MAGA, que traen las reglas al Pleno, que traen los proyectos de ley al Pleno, en este caso un proyecto de ley de reconciliación, luego hubo un proyecto de ley relacionado sobre, ya saben, el tráfico de influencias en el Congreso, que en realidad se hizo para tratar de sofocar a la legislación real para evitar que los miembros del Congreso realicen tráfico de influencias. Llegará a eso más adelante, pero los miembros republicanos del Congreso, que traen la legislación, que traen las reglas, que tienen que justificar lo que traen en un comité de reglas, y por eso a veces, por lo general, puede ser aburrido y tedioso, pero los demócratas básicamente hicieron como un ataque sorpresa y dijeron: muy bien, miembro del Congreso Arlington, ese es el miembro republicano de MAGA en el Congreso, tenemos preguntas para usted. O en el caso del miembro demócrata del Congreso Neguse, miembro del Congreso Steele, hablemos de su pieza legislativa justo aquí y voy a tratar de dejar al descubierto. Fue un interrogatorio brillante. Así que déjenme mostrarles por favor lo que ocurrió. Primero, donde estuvo el miembro demócrata del Congreso McGovern. Aquí estuvo su intercambio con el miembro del Congreso Arlington, el republicano de MAGA, que está tratando de presionar para aprobar este proyecto de ley de reconciliación verdaderamente terrible y desastroso. Y esta legislación para darle al Departamento de Defensa, para darle a Pete Hegseth miles y miles y miles de millones de dólares para esta guerra catastrófica, cuando ya recibieron cientos. Obtuvieron billones de dólares, obtuvieron más de $1 billón el año pasado. Así que pregunto yo, ¿qué estamos haciendo aquí? Así que primero, el miembro demócrata del Congreso, McGovern, comienza mirando a los republicanos y diciendo: ustedes controlan cada rama del gobierno y la Corte Suprema y sin embargo están aquí, quejándose, están quejándose. ¿Qué están haciendo en este momento? Miren el clip, por favor.
Let me just say, I love you Republicans. You don't take responsibility for anything. I mean, you control the House, you control the Senate, you control the White House, I think you control the Supreme Court, and nothing is your responsibility. Boy, it must be nice to live that way. And I'll just say one thing. When you guys want to get things done, I mean, you do. When you wanted tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires, I mean, you shoved that through, added $4.7 trillion to the debt. You got that through. I wish we could have stopped it, but you got it through. When you wanted to cut Medicaid by $1 trillion, you did it in a nanosecond. SNAP by $200 billion, you're going to increase hunger in this country. I mean, so the idea that, this idea that somehow you can't get anything done, yeah, you do. The stuff you get done, unfortunately, is bad for the American people. But everything is somebody else's fault. It's never your fault.
Y luego, el miembro demócrata del Congreso, McGovern, antes de inclinarse realmente en la pregunta, es como: y luego todos ustedes se sienten tranquilos, patéticos, republicanos de MAGA, mientras que Donald Trump se involucra en una corrupción desenfrenada y delitos a la vista de todos, que harían que lo que hizo Richard Nixon no parezca nada en comparación con lo que hace Donald Trump un día cualquiera. Y todo lo que hacen ustedes, republicanos de MAGA, es simplemente sentarse allí siendo cómplices. ¿Están de acuerdo con esto? Vergüenza debería de darles. Miren al congresista McGovern ponerse a trabajar aquí. Miren el clip, por favor.
And don't even get me going on corruption or on fraud or waste or abuse. I'm looking at what's happening in the White House right now and the silence of the entire Republican conference. I mean, that is complicity. That is complicity. And history will record that you were silent as this president ripped off the American people. I've never seen anything like it. It makes Richard Nixon look like a Boy Scout.
Y luego entra el interrogatorio al miembro republicano de MAGA. Este es el miembro del Congreso, Arlington. Ahora, recuerden que estos comités de reglas, si se preguntan por qué está interrogando al miembro republicano del Congreso, es porque los republicanos que presentan la legislación tienen que hacerla avanzar a través del comité de reglas y tú eres capaz de hacer preguntas. Así que el miembro del Congreso, McGovern, no iba a dejar pasar esto así como así y solo marcar la casilla. No, el miembro del Congreso, McGovern, dice como: recuerdo que usted y los republicanos de MAGA hablaban sobre la deuda y ustedes eran como halcones de la deuda y decían que, ya saben, Joe Biden era malo y los demócratas estaban aumentando la deuda. Como que todos ustedes se dan cuenta de que Donald Trump básicamente ha añadido la mayor parte de la deuda dentro de Estados Unidos en este momento. Y lo hizo increíblemente en un año. Esta es una cifra récord. Donald Trump ha añadido más de 3.3 billones de dólares a la deuda. Así que, ¿qué dice eso? Miren al miembro republicano de MAGA en el Congreso retorcerse aquí. Miren el clip, por favor.
But Chairman Arrington, in 2024, you came before this committee and you said, quote, "At a time when our national debt is approaching $35 trillion, we are adding almost $8 billion to the debt every day, and we pay 62 cents on every dollar just to service the debt. We must lead Congress toward a path of fiscal responsibility. The trajectory is unsustainable and is arguably the biggest threat facing our nation," end quote. You ended your remarks by saying, and I quote, "Not paying for our spending is not only irresponsible, it is irrational. We cannot continue to thrust the costs of things we think are important onto the backs of our kids and grandkids," end quote. Chairman Arrington, do you still believe that our debt is one of the biggest threats facing our nation?
I do.
So, Chairman Arrington, can you affirm the basic fact that since January 20th, 2025, since President Trump and the Republicans assumed full control of government, the national debt has increased by $3.3 trillion from 36.2 trillion to 39.5 trillion?
It's a misleading stat because the economy has grown with the cuts that we made on waste, fraud, and abuse. In total, for the first time in a decade, the deficit to GDP has gone down under Republican leadership and this president's watch.
You disagree with the figure?
The CBO, that's a direct quote from the CBO.
You disagree with that our debt went from 36.2 to 39.5? Because I think that's
We have
pretty clear.
We have liabilities in Social Security, Medicare. We have liabilities across the board that are outpacing
Mr. McGarvey,
our sources of revenue.
those are accurate numbers?
Yes. And in fact, another stat we can look at, the debt of this country from George Washington through Bill Clinton was about $5.7 trillion. The debt from George W. Bush and Donald Trump alone is nearly double that.
Chairman Arrington, isn't it true that you and everybody on the Republican side here voted in favor of a Republican reconciliation bill that is projected to add $4.7 trillion to our nation's debt over the next decade?
Not true.
Another $70 billion that provided funding for ICE and CBP?
The ICE and CBP was simply a replacement of what would have been discretionary funding for ICE and CBP when every Democrat voted to defund
Did
it.
you vote for that?
Of course, I wouldn't defund ICE and CBP. That's,
Chairman Arrington,
yes, sir.
can you confirm that the plain text of the budget resolution before us right now instructs committees to propose legislation that would increase the deficit by as much as $95 billion with no requirement that it be paid for?
Mr. McGovern, ever since I've been here, and probably for 100 years, when we are in conflict and our military needs supplemental resourcing to keep our troops safe, we have never offset it. And the $200 billion that you and your colleagues gave to Ukraine, that was not offset. So I don't expect we should do this any differently.
Yeah, but you said, I go back to not paying for our spending is not only irresponsible, it's irrational.
I agree.
Continue to thrust the cost of things that we think are important onto the backs of our kids and our grandkids.
That's correct.
The question is, how can you come before the committee and advocate for spending tens of billions more taxpayer dollars on top of the trillions that you have already added to the deficit while not requiring any of this?
It's a fair question.
Not just the military stuff and
Yeah.
other stuff. Why that none of it is paid for?
It's a fair question.
Yeah.
And I think we have to ask ourselves as a Congress why we provide emergency funding, supplemental appropriations for emergencies, because those emergencies require expeditious action, A, and B, if we don't act, we'll spend a lot more money. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't budget for emergencies. We need to do a better job of that across the board.
Was it an emergency to give tax breaks to billionaires and millionaires? Because that was not paid for either. I mean,
It was, in fact.
okay, all right. Well,
In fact.
I'm glad. So we just have a disagreement. You think an emergency is making sure that millionaires and billionaires get tax cuts, big corporations? I just disagree with that. That's a fundamental values question.
I didn't say that just for the record,
Right.
although some, after a 21% inflation tax, would have said a 22% tax hike would be an emergency for their families.
Luego, el miembro demócrata del Congreso, McGovern, dice como, está bien, quiero entender, realmente piensa que el Departamento de Defensa, que Pete Hegseth, el secretario de Defensa, debería de recibir miles y miles y miles de millones de dólares más. Les dimos 1.1 billones de dólares el año pasado y solo porque Donald Trump y Pete Hegseth están llevando a la quiebra todo esto, llevando a la quiebra a Estados Unidos, ustedes ni siquiera la aprobaron. Ni siquiera están invocando sus derechos en el Congreso para detener a Donald Trump de hacer esta guerra ilegal y catastrófica. Solo quieren darle un pequeño cheque en blanco mientras que las tropas estadounidenses están muriendo, mientras que se cometen más crímenes de guerra también. ¿Saben qué demonios está pasando aquí? Miren, por favor.
The budget resolution instructs the Armed Services Committee to increase the deficit by as much as $60 billion in order to use taxpayer dollars to cover more of the cost of the president's war in Iran. Are you aware that Republicans gave the Department of Defense an extra $150 billion last July?
Yes.
And according to the Trump administration's own numbers, more than half of that money, $75.7 billion, has yet to be spent or even obligated?
I know that we gave $150 billion to the defense of our country.
So given that you've said that our nation's debt is such an existential crisis,
Yes.
wouldn't you agree that it is irresponsible to spend another $60 billion in taxpayer dollars on Trump's war when you already have $75 billion available?
No, sir, because we were so in the hole after 4 years of a president that didn't have not just regard for our readiness, but for what our troops were focused on in terms of war fighting. That first $100 billion was to make up for 4 years. Thank God we put that additional monies to prepare for.
$75 billion that hasn't even been obligated.
Luego tienes al miembro del Congreso, McGovern, decir, miren, mientras todos ustedes están ahí queriendo que billones de dólares vayan a Pete Hegseth para cometer más crímenes de guerra y para hundir la economía estadounidense en su proyecto de ley de reconciliación, en lo que están haciendo justo aquí, donde hay algo sobre el costo de vida. Y McGovern dice, sé que ustedes, los MAGA, no hacen asambleas comunitarias. McGovern dice, yo sí hago asambleas comunitarias cada vez que regreso a mi distrito y ¿saben qué es lo que todo el mundo me dice? No puedo pagar nada. Así que, ¿qué están haciendo aquí para abordar esto? Nada, en cambio le están dando el dinero de los contribuyentes o están aumentando la deuda para financiar el complejo militar industrial, para cometer más crímenes de guerra en Irán, mientras que Irán responde destruyendo bases militares estadounidenses y acabando con la vida de las tropas, porque el régimen de Donald Trump tiene a las tropas estadounidenses simplemente sentadas allí, y luego se involucran en el crimen de guerra, no esperan respuesta y ni siquiera tenemos los interceptores. Todas las municiones han ido. Y miren el clip, por favor.
Why does this budget resolution not include anything to bring down costs? I mean, you don't have to just take my word for it. On July 15th, a Republican congresswoman from South Carolina described your budget as, quote, $95 billion in new deficit spending, no offsets, and not one provision to lower the cost of living, end quote. So the question is, why doesn't your resolution instruct any committee to propose legislation that would, for example, lower health care costs or help people who have lost their health care coverage regain it?
I would say that the first step in unwinding the cost of living crisis that was created by the failed policies of your party was to stop the wild, reckless, unbridled spending. This administration continues, by the way, a whole of government assault on fraud, not on domestic energy producers, but on fraud. And we cut, like I said, $1.6 trillion in waste. We put pro-growth policies that gave us a 3.8 and a 4.3 growth rates before you shut the government down.
It sounds like we're back to the old, let's blame Joe Biden. But why doesn't your resolution instruct any committee to propose legislation that would lower Americans' child care costs? Or why doesn't the resolution instruct any committee to propose legislation that would lower Americans' housing or rent costs? Or why doesn't your resolution instruct any committee to propose legislation that would lower gas prices for Americans' energy bills? I mean, this is kind of the problem in a nutshell, and I'll close with this. You know, when it comes to war and tax cuts for wealthy and big corporations, you guys trip over yourselves to spend tax dollars with no offsets. This is your MO. But when it comes to helping American families, Republicans think it would be wasteful spending. I got to tell you, I still do in-person town halls. I don't know about you, but I do. And all people want to talk about is the high cost of living. They can't afford their rents, can't afford to buy homes. Child care costs are out of control. Health care costs are out of control. They want to know why the hell aren't we focused in on that? And instead, we're focused in on, giving the well-off and the well-connected even more. I think people have had it. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're going to see every Democrat oppose this. And I hope some Republicans who care about fiscal responsibility will oppose it.
Ahora, tengo que reconocérselo bastante al miembro del Congreso Joe Neguse del estado de Colorado. Un verdadero y auténtico interrogador. Neguse es hasta ahora el mejor, la verdad. Ahora, aquí está interrogando al miembro republicano de MAGA en el Congreso, Brian Steele, y este miembro republicano de MAGA en el Congreso está tratando de hacer avanzar lo que afirma que es un proyecto de ley que, detendría el tráfico de influencias en el Congreso, excepto que lo que el proyecto de ley realmente está haciendo es proteger a los miembros republicanos de MAGA dentro del Congreso, pero fingiendo ante el público estadounidense que los republicanos hicieron algo. Déjenme explicar lo que la legislación de estos MAGA quieren. A los miembros del Congreso se les va a prohibir comprar acciones individuales basadas en su conocimiento interno. Se les prohibirá comprar, pero no hay prohibición de vender. Tampoco hay prohibición de comprar en mercados de predicción y, ¿sabes?, o comprar o hacer apuestas en mercados de predicción. Tampoco hay prohibición de comprar fondos mutuos o fondos cotizados de toda la industria, así que si estás en la comunidad de inteligencia y puedes enterarte de algo sobre la guerra que podría impactar el precio del petróleo, podrías todavía comprar un fondo cotizado en una bolsa que tal vez sea sobre la industria petrolera o sobre chips, semiconductores o sobre el ejército. Así que todavía puedes hacer eso. Por lo tanto, es solo una prohibición de acciones comerciales individuales, así que Neguse dice como, ¿qué demonios es esto? ¿Qué estás haciendo aquí? Míralo interrogar a este MAGA y mira al MAGA retroceder. Miren el clip, por favor.
Chairman Style, so the name of your bill is the Stop Insider Trading Act, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You think that's an accurate description of the bill?
Yeah.
Okay. What does trading mean to you?
The buying and selling for profit.
The buying and selling for profit. I couldn't agree with you more. Webster's dictionary defines it as the business of buying and selling. This bill, as you said, bans the buying of individual shares of stock, right?
That's correct.
It does not ban the selling.
It reforms the selling, of course.
It does
makes
not
changes.
ban the selling, right? You're allowed to sell as much stock as you would like as a member of Congress under this bill. Is that wrong?
I think it's insufficient to describe it that way, that what you said is accurate but
It
misleading.
is accurate, yes.
But misleading.
Correct. Yes, it is accurate.
Accurate but
so
misleading,
let's say
yes.
there's a Republican senator who decides that they're going to sell millions of dollars of stock the week before the COVID-19 pandemic begins in earnest. That's legal under your bill, right?
Of course, they would have provided a minimum of 7 days advance
Correct.
notice. I'm
And
not
that
sure
would be
that you
legal.
could do that in the timeline you just proposed.
And that would be legal under this. This isn't a hypothetical. A Republican senator, 7, 8 days before, 9 days before the COVID-19 pandemic began in earnest, sold millions of dollars of stock. Under this bill, that would not be illegal, right?
But of course, they would provide notice.
Yes, I
That's the part that
understand.
you don't want to discuss.
I understand the notice, but here's what I don't understand why
So-
you don't just hold on. I'll give you a chance to explain this. You could defend it on the merits. You've clearly decided that the buying of stock, right, is a practice that you don't believe should be permitted by members of Congress. I agree.
Okay.
But for some reason, you've decided that the sale of stocks, individual stocks, is completely fine, but for the notice requirements that you've now imposed in this bill. And I don't quite understand that disconnect, because there are many bills that have been introduced, including a bill I introduced 7 years ago with Chip Roy and other members of this body that has 140 co-sponsors on it, that would ensure that the sale and the purchase of stocks is banned. And this bill does not.
Y finalmente verán que esto es, creo que cada miembro del Congreso que hace preguntas en estas audiencias debería de ver lo que hace el miembro del Congreso Neguse aquí, porque no se escucha a sí mismo hablar, no está despotricando. Desearía que hubiera más interrogatorios como este cuando Todd Blanche estuvo en el Senado, porque así es como se hace. Miren cómo hace las preguntas cortas, da seguimiento, repite. Miren lo que hace el miembro del Congreso Neguse justo aquí. Miren el clip, por favor.
Make sure I'm understanding as a technical matter the ambit of this bill. Under this bill, can you purchase crypto holdings?
It makes no changes to the House rules in that regard.
So you can't or you can?
It makes no changes in this regard.
I don't. Is it allowed
House
now?
rules still apply. You today are allowed to buy
Okay,
crypto
so that's
if you
all I'm
so
asking.
chose.
It's not a trick question. You're allowed to.
That's,
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Individual placements. because someone else referenced this previously, that can you do individual purchase of individual placements of stock under this?
Individual shares of stock, no.
Individual shares, no. Private placements, yes.
Right, current House rules would apply.
Correct. Okay.
Right.
So if it's easier, I'll frame it that way. I'll use
Yeah, current House rules apply.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
But what I want to make clear to people who are listening is
Sure.
there are significant restrictions in place under House rules. I wouldn't want somebody to walk away and think
Fine.
that no other rules apply.
Okay.
I
let
want to
me
make
frame
sure
it.
that they're clear that
Let's
current
use
House
your
rules would
language.
apply.
Let's use your language.
Yeah, I think it's more accurate.
Under current House rules, members of Congress can buy crypto holdings, and under your bill, that does not change, right?
There's no change.
Okay,
made.
and under current House rules, members of Congress can buy stocks through private placements. And under your bill, that does not change, right?
No change.
Okay, and under current House rules, members of Congress can buy stocks, can buy industry-specific mutual funds, right?
That's accurate.
And that does not change under your bill.
Does not change.
Okay, and under current House rules, members of Congress can buy bonds, right? Mm-hmm. And under your bill, that does not change.
You still buy bonds.
And there are countless other pieces of legislation that members of Congress have introduced, myself included, that would ban all of what I just described. That is the point. I would say, with respect to Mr. Morelli's comment about the prediction markets, I do not understand, and perhaps you can illuminate this for me. The House Administration Committee has jurisdiction over member participation in prediction markets, right?
That's accurate.
Okay, you're the chair.
Along with others, but yes.
But
We're one
you've
of
got
them.
principal jurisdiction.
Yes, yes.
You're in charge. Okay. 4 months ago, the United States Senate, on a bipartisan basis, on a voice vote, took action and said, you know what? No senator in this body is allowed to make bets on prediction markets. Every Republican, every Democrat agreed to it. Why can't we?
We have moved forward legislation, the Committee and House Administration on this topic.
Let's
I look
do it
forward
today.
to. I'd be.
Why can't we? I'm saying this happened in April.
No,
We could do a one-page
yeah.
resolution. We could just literally cut and paste the Senate resolution, and we could pass
Yeah.
it tomorrow. Will you help us with that?
Yeah, so I've been supportive of making restrictions in the prediction market space.
Why isn't it in this bill?
We have two different pieces of legislation. We moved through, obviously, prediction markets are a reasonably new and novel technology available to American
It
people.
took the Senate
So
a day. It's a one-page resolution. It
Yeah, I
literally
don't-
is a paragraph. It just says members of the Senate are banned from participating in prediction.
I'm fully supportive of my legislation moving forward, if that's the question.
No, the question is, well, I guess I'll follow with Mr. Morelli, and maybe, Mr. Morelli, I would encourage, I know you've been pushing on this, but maybe we can just write a one-page resolution. We'll just take the Senate resolution, go to the floor this week, and apparently, according to Mr. Stile, that would meet with his approval. All right, am I wrong? Is that not something that you all have been able to debate in the committee? Mr. Morelli.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. We can do by resolution and have it apply to House members and House family members of families of House members, dependents, and do just exactly what the Senate did. The alternative is to do it in a bill which isn't even in front of us for reasons that completely escape my understanding. There should be a provision in this bill, as bad as this bill is. How would you not include the prediction markets? But yes, to your point, we could do a resolution. Doesn't have to pass the Senate. Doesn't have to have the president sign it. We can do a resolution pertaining simply to the House. We should do that today.
I couldn't agree more, and I would hope that the majority Republican House would perhaps emulate what your colleagues in the upper chamber did under John Thune and simply say, instead of the delay and the dilatory tactics and everything else, we're just going to ban
Y
it.
bueno amigos, ahí lo tienen, los demócratas toman el control de las audiencias del Comité de las Reglas. Pero bueno amigos, acabamos de llegar al final del video, espero que les haya gustado. Si es así, por favor déjenmelo saber en los comentarios. Recuerden que si les gusta el contenido de política estadounidense, les va a encantar suscribirse al canal, ya que subo videos como estos todos los días. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, yo soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarlos diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.